Yeah, no amount of dramatically cut video is going to give this game a useful introduction, so I'm just letting the game speak for itself here. On Steam, the game is described as an immersive power fantasy simulator with tactical stealth elements set in a sewage-infused garbage world. And yeah, that's definitely an accurate description, although some parts are more accurate than others, but it's still pretty obtuse. But that's why I'm here, to at least give some moderate explanation for what this game is and what I think of it. We're in for a weird one, people. This is Cruelty Squad. Undoubtedly, the first thing anyone will notice about Cruelty Squad are the visuals. Cruelty Squad is kind of in the same realm of visual design as games like Hylix, using bright colors that don't seem to fit very well inside bizarre environments to make the game surreal looking and, in some cases, confusing. No color or texture combination is consistent in this game from one place to the next, and it actually makes exploration a bit harder. Sometimes what you think is just a weirdly colored wall is actually an elevator door and stuff like that. Overall, it definitely fits the sewage-infused garbage world description. I guess you could call it sewage punk? It's got advanced tech and stuff like other sci-fi and a dystopian world of, corporate control and all that, but it's all seemingly made of biological waste rather than advanced cybernetics. The music fits the same mold too, being fairly moody or wavy, and all of it is bit crushed. Though I would say the visuals are far more memorable than the music. The only track I really remember from the game is the main menu theme, and that's just because you hear it all the time. The story more or less confirms my sewage punk theory, as it's set in a corporate dystopian future where everything is controlled through biotechnology. Hell, even money has been replaced with biocurrency. This would also explain why you can bring up the stock market at any point in the game, for all your biomonetary needs. Now, you specifically play as some deranged nobody discharged from the SEC Death Unit, whatever that is. You're having a depression nap, and this fat Squidbillies looking guy calls you up with a job working as a member of the Cruelty Squad, a company used by semi-demonic corporate overlords to assassinate anyone who might oppose their degenerate rule over the population. This can range from simply assassinating powerful opponents to the corporate overlords, to people being too successful at their job because it gets in the way of, other things. All in all, you're basically just a deranged grunt carrying out the whim of mysterious corporate masters. The story is told to you in a very one-sided way as well. Since you're just being used as a pawn by the corporate masters to assassinate anyone who opposes them, you're really only getting one side of the story here. You can get bits and pieces of why everything is so wrong or how everything is so wrong, but it actually takes a good bit of investigation to get in there and figure it all out. The gameplay starts off looking like your standard FPS, but then you realize you have to hold down the right mouse button and move your gun down to reload. Most mechanics in this game are like this, a weird deviation from typical gameplay that, while being neat, honestly seems to be there mostly for the sake of being different. Not to say it's exactly bad, but it definitely feels like it was done just for the sake of being different, weird, or obtuse. The augmentations are similar to this too. You have basic upgrades like moving faster at the expense of your armor and vice versa, getting a med kit, better aiming, although I wouldn't recommend using the precision aiming at all. And then there's all the other stuff that is functionally useless, like items that cost seemingly the maximum amount of money, or the nightmare goggles, which just turn your vision black and red. There's also, as mentioned before, the stock market. I assume exploiting that is how you can afford the impossibly expensive stuff, but anytime I tried using it, I just lost the money I earned on my missions. Speaking of, your missions are pretty much all assassinations. You get told why you gotta kill the guy, get dropped into a level, and gotta figure out how to kill him. Sometimes you gotta kill more than one guy. You can take the more power fantasy approach of going on a rampage, destroying every enemy you see as you reach your target, leaving a trail of chaos behind you. Not that the civilians really care. You can just kind of walk up to them after your rampage is finished and have a nice little chat. Or you can try to sneak around most of them with secret entrances and the like you can find by exploring the environment. I can imagine most people trying to find the most effective routes to speedrun a game like this, honestly. I also want to note that if you're in danger and getting chased, just find an empty room and sit in the corner. The AI in this game is royally stupid and will walk inside the room single file, letting you take them out one by one, allowing you to easily wipe out entire floors of enemies by just sitting there and exploiting the dumb AI. Dumb AI aside though, you are pretty squishy yourself. I've had many instances where my health just drops to zero seemingly out of nowhere, so you do have to be pretty careful, despite the power fantasy description on Steam. All in all, gameplay is decently satisfying, confusing in certain areas, but pretty alright. I can imagine speedrunners might like this, and anyone who's used to much weirder games than this will find this perfectly fine. And that's my experience with Cruelty Squad. Was it an interesting experience? Yes, certainly. Was it an experience I would recommend to most people? Not really, no. You have to have a thing for weird and somewhat janky or obtuse games like this to really enjoy your time playing it. I imagine for most people it would just be confusion and frustration before quitting the game and moving on. But for the enthusiasts out there, this is absolutely something to check out. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later. And lastly, a special thank you shout out to my Patreon. With $5 a month pledge is a sad old man eating Pringles by himself. Thank you for the $5.